Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Maximize Excellence. And I am here today and very honored to have a special guest. We have retired U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel and Senior VP of American Corporate Partners, Richard Comitz. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you for having me.
Great to have you today. So, a little bit about Richard. He was a little background so you guys have a good understanding of how he's gotten a little bit to where he's at. He was commissioned as a second lieutenant following graduation from the U.S. Military Academy at West Point in 1996. In over 23 years of his service, he served in numerous staff and leadership positions in the U.S., Europe, and Middle East. In addition to deploying in Kosovo in support of NATO peacekeeping operations, he served a combat deployment in Iraq. By the way, thank you for your service, sir.
It was my honor.
Prior to retiring, Lieutenant Comitz served as an associate professor at the United States Military Academy at West Point. And following retirement, Lieutenant Comitz was Director of Planning and Operations at Long Island University. So in addition to his undergraduate from West Point, and he also holds a master's and PhD from Florida State University in technology. Please join me again in welcoming Richard. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. This is a pleasure being here. I look forward to talking with you.
You know, I kind of hesitated. I was getting ready to say your whole long title again. And I thought, we were just off in the green room talking about transition and language and having that language when you transition from military over. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to say his first name.
Yeah. When I got my business cards, that was like a big struggle for me. Like, what do I put on there? Lieutenant Colonel, retired, Richard Comitz, PhD, Senior Vice President. How do I do it? And I just settled on Richard Comitz.
I love it. I love it. Well, welcome. And so today we want to talk about what you do in the organization you work for and who you serve. And I think it's most purposeful. I know with our company, we find a lot of joy and impact in supporting transitioning military individuals, veterans, and spouses of the military. And so when I was at West Point recently, and I connected with your team up there, and by the way, they are rock stars.
They are, for sure. I'm so lucky.
They definitely are. So why don't you start out, Richard, and tell us a little bit about ACP?
Sure. So ACP is a national nonprofit, and we focus on assisting transitioning service members and active duty spouses prepare for meaningful careers after the service. And we do that by one-on-one customized mentorships where we pair the protege, which we call the veterans and military spouses. We pair the protege up with a mentor, and the mentors come from a large pool. Luckily, we have a lot of relationships with some corporate companies. And then we also have some mentors that are just niche mentors that have great skills. And so what we try to do is pair the service member or spouse up with someone in the right industry so they can really talk to them with the language and make sure their resume is good to go and give an idea what the culture is like.
So you mentioned, is it protege or mentors, or is there a specific use of that term with you?
So the mentee, the person being mentored, we call the protege.
Okay, understand now. So where do these proteges come from?
So they're from all the different services. Anyone that's 9/11, post 9/11 have served active duty time, and or we have military spouses. We use active duty military spouses or spouses of caregiver or that are caregivers of someone that's been injured post 9/11.
And I was reading on your website, currently right now, since 2010, you've served over 23,000 veterans.
That's correct, yeah.
And ACP is American Corporate Partners, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Yeah, and I also noticed on there, those 23,000 plus veterans, that retention rate is quite phenomenal. It's like
Yeah, that's something that we're really
86%.
proud of, and a lot of our corporate partners are very happy about too. I mean, just to frame it out for our listeners, there, about 56% of the time, a military service member will probably switch jobs before they even stay there a year, which creates kind of a lot of problems, not only for the service member, because they're not only having to go through that anxiety of finding another job again, but also for the companies that spent the time and effort and money on training them, finding them and training them, and then have them leave. And I think oftentimes, I mean, I can speak from my personal experiences. A lot of times you don't know what you don't know, but you are very stressed about getting a job and paying for your bills and making sure your family's provided for. So a lot of times people will take the first job that comes to them. And then they realize it's really not something that they're interested in, or they're not happy there. And so what we found when we pair people up with mentors, especially mentors in the industry they're looking to go into, they now enter into the workforce at the right level, in the right industry, and they're a lot happier, and then they stay longer. So we surveyed our proteges, we found that 86% of them were still in the same job after a year. So we're really proud of that. And it's very good, because I think that, as I mentioned, it's very stressful when you're transitioning, and who wants to have to transition more than once within 1 year?
Right. And so why don't you frame up for all of us, what is a typical conversation with a new protege or someone curious about or interested in your program? Frame that up.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I apologize.
I was going to say, so when someone signs up for a program, what will happen is someone in our office will give them a call, or set up a call with them. And when they do have that call, they'll start asking questions about what their goals are, what they're interested in doing. And through that and a survey that we often give, we start understanding what they are looking to do after the service. And so with that information, then our operations associates then go into our mentor pool by hand and look for the right fit. So oftentimes our proteges will also provide other information, like I would rather someone the same race, gender, ethnicity, age, in addition to the industry. So we try to honor as many of those things as we can when we're finding the exact fit for the mentor. And that's all done by hand. So there's no algorithms. And so when we think we found someone, we present them to the protege to the mentor to the protege, and say, do you think you can work together? And once they agree, then we introduce them, and they're off and running. And then throughout the year, we'll give them recommendations on what to talk about, and some resources if they need resources. But oftentimes it's really about, one, in the beginning, framing up what their goals really are, and then finding a way to get, to achieve those goals, which is usually, finding a job in some way. So then the things that they start talking about is, let me take a look at your resume. Also, how to translate, we mentioned this earlier, how to translate their skills into a resume, how to speak in a way that doesn't sound so military, and how to interview and things like that. And then, throughout the process, it's really an individual process. So, if someone has a job coming up, maybe they spend their next mentor meeting really preparing for that job, or going through the job application or the requirements for the job to make sure that they can answer the questions properly and things of that nature.
And what's a typical program length?
So we try to have our mentorships go for 1 year. So we ask that both the protege and mentor meet once a month at least, for a year. And so that really is what kind of, I think, sets us apart from a lot of other programs, is that we have that long-term commitment. And you can think about anybody that once you start getting to know them a little bit more, you can start predicting where they want to go. You have some accountability, which is very helpful, so that, when you tell your mentor, I'm going to fix my resume, then the next time you meet, the mentor is expecting that you fixed your resume, or whatever the conversation is, and they can check in on each other and make sure that, they're going in the right direction. And if they want to pivot, then they can help them pivot as well.
What's their biggest fear in transition?
I think I can speak for myself. It was just being able to find a job that paid the bills, you maintain the same standard of living. But I think that's like the short-sighted, urgency that we all have. But I think the long term is finding something that you want to do the
Yeah.
rest of your life, because even if someone spends 20 or 30 years in the military, they still have several years that they're going to need to work,
Yeah.
and they want to do something that's meaningful to them.
So let's talk about before they leave the military. How much time before they leave are they beginning to prepare? Are they beginning to think about these things? And or is it only at a specific time that because they're getting ready to retire out, that's when this kind of process kicks in? Or are the military agencies, organizations proactive about this, like a year out or 2 years out, they start developing and helping them with transition? How does that work?
Yeah, I think that the answer is it depends on a lot. Oftentimes, I think most people, when I was transitioning, were telling you to start thinking about it at least a year out.
Yeah.
I think it's not harmful to think earlier than that, but a year out is kind of where you really can start making some headway in that direction without, you can't find a job a year out when you still have a year left to serve. So that's why we even encourage people, somewhere that the 12, 9 months mark, to
Mhm.
look for a mentor so that they can help them through that process. But it does depend. And there are some people that kind of, I don't say blow it off or don't think much about it until the last, few months, and then they're kind of in a hurry or panic. So we kind of get people at all different areas, and it depends. I think the service members, most of the services, what they try to do is offer through their transition assistance programs at least all the different resources that are available to them. But it's very hard for them to make that individualized plan, and that's why we kind of think mentoring helps out a lot, because really transitions a individual effort. No matter, even if you have the same person or the same two people that are the same rank in the same location, they're still going to have different paths that they're going to take in their transition.
Absolutely, because they're unique in
Yes.
their own right. Yeah, definitely. So I was looking at some of the survey results that the proteges recently gave, and it looks like you surveyed quite, I mean, that it's almost 17,500 proteges in your recent survey in 2022. And interestingly, improving my resume and interview skills, translating my military background into civilian terms, building a network of professionals, refining civilian career goals and professional ambitions, learning about career opportunities, and dealing with work life balance issues. So, those are some of the top, about 40% and above uh, data points that come in that are important and critical. Uh, Tell me about the program and how it addresses those.
Yeah, so I think that, as we mentioned just before, the transition is really an individualized effort. So everyone is going to have some differences on where they want to go, how prepared they are,
Mhm.
whether they want to work in the same field as they were serving in the military. If someone was a mechanic, do they want to go out and be a mechanic? Or in my case, I was a chemical officer. I didn't want to go out and be a chemical officer. So, or work in the petroleum industry or something like that. That was just my personal desire. So having that kind of figured out makes it also very different. But then once you start talking to a mentor, especially one in the industry that you're looking for, as we kind of talked about earlier, it's almost like a whole nother language. So
Mhm.
really using that mentor to help say, okay, you did this in the military. That's kind of like this in the civilian world. And this is how you should talk about this in a resume, or if you're going to do um, an interview, or just, kind of helping them understand what their options might be in that certain industry. Because, for example, I think when I transitioned, you knew about big companies. So, for example, say Tyson food, I knew Tyson as chicken, right? But obviously, if you really peel it back, Tyson has, for example, a company like that has HR, they have marketing, they have cybersecurity, they have supply chain management, they have other leadership, project management, all these different jobs that are out there. And so I think sometimes when you're in the military, you don't think through those options and how you would fit into that and where you would fit. So having someone help them with that really gets at a lot of those things, like building that, and then also introducing them to people as far as networking is a big thing, I think, helpful, because even if that mentor that you have is not going to, say, offer you a particular job, they might know someone in the industry that could, further your conversation either for a job or just to get more information as to what's it like to work in this company, this industry.
Yeah. So Richard, in our work, it's really critical. Alignment is really critical. And I hear you saying that as well in regards to function. And we call that the tactical side of the metrics that we're seeking when we think about performance and productivity, and we think about how do we optimize talent. Much of the alignment, though, comes from people's personal core values and how they align to the company's philosophies, the mission, the vision, the values, and how their tactical and practical skills and competencies align into the job description and the strategy, and whether or not they're able to team well, right? Work together well, collaborate well. That in itself, when we optimize talent and we're able to execute strategy because we align, gives us those collective results. So I'm kind of giving you this model that we work under with talent management and helping.
Yeah, that was so attractive when you and I first connected, and we could talk about that for hours, I think, but we talked about it quite a bit, and that's why I was so excited to be able to continue our conversation here.
Yeah. So I want you to dig in a little bit, because you're getting people from all walks and of course all the different military agencies, and as well as their spouses, who, by the way, many of them have had throughout the service career have taken jobs in the communities in which they're stationed or based. So I think it's really important to talk about, it's not always easy. Everybody has a sense of urgency when it comes to quality of life and employment, and how employment plays into that quality of life. But even deeper, especially now with the Great Resignation, people are wanting more and more that value. They want to not only create value, but they want value, and they want that sense of belonging as well. So I know I'm driving this home, but I really want you to dig in and create this understanding for those that are out there listening today and will be listening, that this understanding of the importance of that and how you guys deliver that for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing, and we try to say this often, is meaningful employment, right? It's great. It's really meaningful in so many different ways, which is, one, getting them in the right, something that they can see themselves doing on a day-to-day basis for a long period of time, but also, as you kind of mentioned, the right company culture, so that they can feel a part of the team, that they can maybe grow in that company and continue to move up if that's what they desire to do. And so that's very important. We also do things which is kind of nice, where I've learned a lot myself. We do webinars on Wednesdays where we bring in a lot of our corporate partner companies, when they talk about not only what type of jobs they're available, we call it usually careers at the company, but they don't only talk about what careers they have, but it's what it's like to work there. What's the culture? What are the different avenues in which they can progress? What are the support groups that they have available for them? And all of that, I think, makes it a little bbit more tangible and attractive when you start talking about those additional things, because most people think of a job of, you just come in and, you do your time and you leave. But really, you're spending such a lot of time there with a lot of different people that if you don't enjoy the people, you don't enjoy the culture, you don't like the mission that you're doing, you're not going to be happy. And that, on top of having to make sure that you're making enough money to provide for your family and pay the bills is very stressful if you're in the wrong place.
And so that might be the answer to the question I'm going to ask you. Why is mentorship so important for veterans transitioning out of the military?
I think I use the phrase "we don't know what we didn't know," or "you don't know what you don't know," and you really, if you, especially someone like myself, spent 23 years in the military, you spent most of your adult life there. So getting in the weeds of how a corporate company works or how the civilian world works is not as intuitive as you might think, and so it's very difficult to just walk out and say, this is what I want to do, and know that's what you want to do the rest of your life. So the mentors can help flush a lot of that out, because sometimes I would say, I think we have a statistics that says 86% of the people don't even know what they really want to do when they get out. So having a mentor talk through their options and what type of fields, and again, we started talking about this before the show. Oftentimes a mentor will just keep asking a lot of questions, which is very helpful to flush things out. Like, if someone says, I was a squad leader, what did you do as a squad leader? Okay, well, that sounds like a little bit of HR. What else did you do? Oh, well, that sounds like a little bit of project management. And they can kind of peel that out. And then they say, well, what parts of that job did you enjoy more? Did you enjoy the counseling of your soldiers, or did you enjoy the getting your hands dirty type of work? And then they say, okay, well, maybe you want to go in that direction or that direction. And then we can start exploring. Because if you look at job descriptions, like if you go on any job board, especially for a big company, and you start reading the job titles, you don't even know what that means and where that is. I mean, I'll tell you, I applied to a lot of jobs when I was leaving, and sometimes I applied to jobs that sounded like I want to do them, and then I'd find out that the pay was half of what I was looking to get into. And so without having someone to help you walk through that, it makes it more difficult. And I did have a little bit of a difficult transition in that way, but once I got here, I got a mentor, and she's been helping me. I talk to her almost every week now to just work through things.
So if someone's interested in having a mentor sign up for the program, how do they do that?
Yeah, so both either a mentor or a protege can go to our website at acp-usa.org. And at acp-usa.org, you can go there, and there's a button to click to be a protege or a mentor. And so if someone, our listeners are more experienced and they feel like they can give back a little bit, we can always use more mentors. We talked about this a little earlier too. We have a balance between how many proteges we bring in and how many mentors we bring in. And, we don't want it to just be one-to-one, because we want to have a large mentor pool so that we can really get the best mentor for the protege. So someone that's aspirational, someone's in the right career field, and it can really help them out. And so if someone wants to go in IT, then we want to give them an IT mentor rather than give them a mentor in a different field. Although a mentor can help them in a different field, it's just we found it's more successful and more rewarding for both parties when they're in the same kind of industry, if we can.
And so as a mentor, what's required?
So really, it's just 1 hour a month for a year. So you can talk as frequent as you would like, but that's all we ask. And it really seems like it's not a lot of time, and it really isn't. You think about it on a daily basis, you probably waste an hour of time doing something, whether it be commuting, flipping through your phone, or whatever else. So just, instead of commuting, listening to the radio when you're commuting, you could be talking to a protege or something, so there's definitely opportunities there.
And there's no qualifications in regards for being a mentor, or there's no stipulations?
Well, we hope that the mentors have spent about 5 years in their profession, so that they have some experience that they can speak to. But really, the industry doesn't matter to us. Again, we have a lot of relationship with bigger corporations that they actually, kind of commit to providing so many mentors to us. But there's also a lot of individuals that are in our what we call our citizens program that have these niche or different types of professions that we want to have available to give to our proteges.
Excellent. So, Richard, I'm going to read something that you shared with me, and this was a few weeks ago. You say mentors have helped me get through countless situations in my life. ACP's mission to connect veterans and spouses with business leaders help expand an individual's mentor network at a crucial time in their lives. I'm excited and honored to be a part of the ACP team. So, what keeps you motivated? What keeps you driving this boat?
I'll tell you, I came here because I was doing fine at Long Island University. I liked what I was doing, but honestly, I still had that desire to serve. And when I was able to come and be a part of the leadership team here at ACP, it was like a no brainer to me. I felt bad leaving, honestly, at Long Island University, but I really couldn't. Pass up the opportunity to be here. And really, what's amazing on a daily basis, I'm talking to different types of people, but mentors that are sharing, bragging about their proteges' successes. I talk to proteges that say how amazing their mentors are, and really we're finding out on a weekly basis people are getting jobs, people are really happy where they're at, and so it's funny when I talk to people, it's not like we're a business where we're always trying to make more money. Really, the currency here is helping people out. So the better that we do at our jobs, the more people we help out, which is really kind of a nice way to earn a living.
Nice. And so, if people are trying to decide their career path, if they are really trying to network and network with key employers, if they are in that transition state and seeking those transition skills, or if they are trying to improve their resume, their LinkedIn profile, their interview skills and styles, and then just wanting to really dig into career opportunities. This is a good fit if they are a veteran post 911 as well as a spouse, correct?
Right. Yeah. This is for sure. And even if there's someone that's kind of stagnant in their career and they just want someone to talk to, we have people. A percentage of our people, I think it's something like 15%, actually aren't looking for a new job. They're looking, how do I get another level in my current career, or how do I, break out of some sort of stagnant area? And we, mentors are helpful with that as well.
Excellent. I'm going to leave this last couple words with you before I close out, Richard. What would you like to share with everyone?
I would just like to say, one, thank everyone for continuing to support the military community. We love what we do here at ACP because we actually are helping for me, my fellow veterans and the military community, the spouses. And it's so nice to be able to see them happy and successful, finding meaningful careers. And it's so refreshing to see how many people that may not even have ever had any affiliation with the military in our mentors that are willing to help out people in this time of need, because really everyone can look in their life and find a mentor, whether it be a brother, sister, mother, father, coach, teacher. And if you think about it, those are what help us get through our lives. So both the mentors that volunteer their time and the proteges that sign up, I think they're all very rewarding experiences for both of them. And we want to continue to help as many people as we can. So sign up, whether you can help as a mentor or you're in transition or need to transition yourself, please sign up.
I love it. And so we have a fan out there and someone who works, I believe, with you guys a lot, and that's Stacy Gordon.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So Stacy's out there helping out, and she's posted a few links for our audience as well. So thank you, Stacy, for what you do. I know she serves a lot of military, a lot of veterans, a lot of transitioning veterans as well. In quite a few areas and from the educational perspective as well. So thank you for joining us today. My name's Lori Harris. I forgot to introduce myself at the beginning of the show, but you know what? I sometimes feel my guests are the VIP and most important. But I have to say, I love this topic. it needs to continue to roll. This topic, because there are hundreds of thousands of military members that are transitioning and will be transitioning in the next few years here, and it's going to be vital for our economy, bottom line, and it's going to be vital for the quality of life of each and every individual that continues to want to thrive and build a career that's meaningful, like you mentioned. So we're grateful for organizations like ACP. And I know Harris Whitesell Consulting, we do talent management services, and we focus on assessments and coaching and development, succession, culture, and engagement. We focus on those areas of developing organizations, people, and teams. So we love what you do, and we are excited about building a partnership with you guys somehow and figuring out what that looks like and feels like. But in the meantime, Richard, thank you for your service. Thank you again for everyone that is serving and is transitioning out and has served. It's very meaningful for us all. Our safety, our well-being has been in your hands. So thank you very, very much for your service.
Well, thanks for having me on today. I really appreciate this. And, as I mentioned, we have so many great synergies that I want to continue our partnership as we go along. I really appreciate our conversation today.
Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to sharing it out. It'll be available on LinkedIn and YouTube, our Harris Whitesell Consulting pages ongoing. So if you need to come back to it later to re-listen to it, if you need motivation, inspiration, or looking for those links that were shared today or anything that Richard's mentioned regarding the program and need to get back to the website, it's available. And I love it. We're going to be sharing it. Again, thank you, Richard. And for all of you out there, please continue to visit our website and also our LinkedIn page for any future information regarding talent management services and maximize excellence. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Maximize Excellence. Visit our events page on our website for details on upcoming podcasts and visit our YouTube channel to listen to past episodes. And remember to ask yourself at the end of each day, did I do my best to maximize excellence today?